Hello everybody, we just finished watching the 7th episode of the Bleach 1000-Year Blood War arc of the anime, episode number 373 overall, and I just want to talk about this episode in all of its glory, like we normally do with the Bleach episode reviews here on this channel. So, as with the housekeeping stuff, as always, last time we had all of the stuff going on with Yamamoto and Yhwach, right, their big final battle. Before that, I should probably say this episode is titled Born in the Dark, right? This is a idea that really doesn't come up till the very end of the episode, but it is the most fitting title that this episode can be given overall. This episode covers chapters, I have it written down here, 511 to 514 of the Bleach manga. So this is actually 4 chapters instead of the regular 5 that we have been getting. But we did get some more extra scenes than what we've been getting with the rest of the Bleach anime so far here. And we're actually going to start off the episode proper with some of these extra scenes. We start off with a flashback to the old Gotei 13, right? All of the 13 of them back then, right? Including Old Man Yamamoto as we know him today. We can see that Unohana was one of these original Gotei 13 members as we see her do battle in one of these shots. And then we see a bunch of other shots of all of these Gotei members going at it. Now, while this isn't really added to the episode, recently Tite Kubo, the author of Bleach, had a new poster come out in the Weekly Shonen Jump magazine showing off all of these characters for the first time. And in my opinion, it's really cool to sort of get all those characters shown off right as we actually get these characters also shown in the anime, right? I guess it's a really cool design move that the team did with this, right? We see all of these Gotei do their thing, right? Yamamoto versus Yhwach happens again. We see that the young Chojuro comes up from behind and stabs stabs Yhwach, letting Yamamoto get a swing in on him, right? And at this point, this is where this scene ends. It's a really awesome added scene where we get more depth into these Gotei characters that we've never seen before, and some more depth into this conflict as a whole, right? Of course, next we get the opening, Scar by Tatsuki Tane, and after this, we open up into the old Soul Society again. We see a young Shunsui running around. Of course, Shunsui is the captain of the, let's see, if I'm not mistaken, the 9th or 11th division of the 13 Court Guard Squads, right? I think it's 11th, right? Of course, he's the captain of it, and we know that him and Uketake were apprentices under Yamamoto for a long time. So we see a young Shunsui looking at a painting in Yamamoto's room, and this painting is one of a man cloaked in fire, one that we can obviously tell is meant to be Old Man Yamamoto himself. Yamamoto comes in, scolds Shunsui, and pretty much says, alright, hey, this guy is something that you will never see again unless the Soul Society is in its darkest hour. And if you do ever see it, I will never be returning to this spot, right? He just calls himself a monster and his power, right? And as we cut while Yamamoto's saying, if this thing ever shows up again, we don't get the words, I will be done for, until we cut over to the battle between Yhwach and Yamamoto, where Yhwach has just won. We see him just cleanly cut Yamamoto on an angle, and Yamamoto's limp body just falls to the ground, right? At this point, Shunsui and a bunch of other characters in the Soul Society realize what's happened. Yamamoto is dead. There is no coming back from this whatsoever, right? At this point, Shunsui gets many bullets fired at him by his opponent, right? And just everybody just gets really bad. They just aren't doing too well, right? They're really losing this war. The Quincy King Yhwach himself starts to walk away as we see that Yamamoto, with a little bit of strength, has grabbed on to Yhwach's cloak and sort of holds him back. And at this point, Yhwach goes into a monologue trashing everything that Yamamoto ever stood for. He starts to say, as we've heard about here a lot, these special threats in the Soul Society, right? We know that Ichigo Kurosaki is one of them, right? We know that Kenpachi is one of them, and we know that Aizen is one, along with Kisuke Urahara, right? And we learned that Yamamoto is not one of these special threats, for the reason of he never got his left arm back. He really digressed in power after the whole Aizen situation, where he didn't even want humans to be involved, and thus humans didn't help heal him back to his former glory, right? He also trashes the current day 13 Court Guard Squads, calling them pretty much weaknesses of their former selves. He said that the 13 Court Guard Squads of the olden days were just a band of ruthless murderers and people who just had enough power to make people want to fall under them, right? And he says that today they are not soldiers anymore. They are court guards in name only. As he says that Yamamoto's done, and they are pretty much done with all of the threats around. And he tells the Stern Ritter to just let loose, right? The Stern Ritters all go to start crushing the Soul Society, right? And each of them summon a bunch of foot soldiers called Soldat, right? And these Soldat and the Stern Ritter just go on a massacre all over the Soul Society. They trash everything. They trash everyone, killing hundreds of our favorite characters, right? And at this point, we cut to Ichigo Kurosaki, who is screaming to don't let everybody disappear, as he still can't get through to Akan, and as he finally gets let in to the Soul Society, we see that Akan is there to welcome him, right? Akan makes some remarks of, hey, I'm sorry, this wasn't how this was supposed to go, right? As there's this Stern Ritter behind Akan, who is pretty much just put hundreds of arrows into his back. And this Stern Ritter, as we learn, his name is Shaz Domino. We don't even get to learn his power until Ichigo just comes up and just completely destroys Shaz Domino, right? We then get Yhwach and Yhwach getting ready to walk away some more, as Ichigo just starts going all over the Soul Society. Yhwach notices this, and a bunch of the Stern Ritters make note of, holy crap, what is this spiritual pressure? Ichigo finds Byakuya, who is pretty much dead at this point, right? And Byakuya asks Ichigo, hey, were Rukia and Renji's spiritual pressure still alive? Ichigo confirms it. And Byakuya goes on this speech of, hey, please, what you do, you're a human. This isn't the time for Soul Society people to ask humans for help. But please, save the Soul Society, Ichigo, right? At this point, Yhwach and Hashwolf start to walk away, as Ichigo just comes up, grabs his sword, throws it in front of Yhwach, and just stops him in his tracks, right? And as the sword hits the ground and stops everybody in their tracks, we get the episode break, where we learn about some stuff about the old 13 Court Guard Squads and Blood Vein, right? Which is very relevant here in a few seconds, right? Pretty much we cut back to Byakuya, and Byakuya is just like, hey, Ichigo didn't give me an answer, that's fine. I know even what his answer is just by being around him. It's a yes, he will save the Soul Society. I know he will. As we see Simbon Zakura, Byakuya's sword, just completely break and shatter. And as we know, whenever a sword breaks and shatters, the user's life does too. So Byakuya is almost pretty much confirmed to be dead at this point, right? If we've read the rest of the series, you know where this goes. If you don't know where this goes, right? But it follows out the exact same way it does in the manga, right? Pretty much we didn't get the confirmations between Yhwach and Ichigo, right? Yhwach's just like, hey, are you good to fight me? You look really damaged. You don't really look in peak physical condition. And Ichigo's just like, I don't care. Are you the one who destroyed the Soul Society like this? Yhwach's just like, I did. As we see this crazy colored spiritual pressure just come off of Ichigo, ready to completely destroy anything and everything that's around him, right? we pretty much get this really insane fight between Yhwach and Ichigo, right? Ichigo's using his Getsuga, Yhwach is just overpowering him, right? And Ichigo's eventually just on the ground, just not able to get back up, as Yhwach comes over, grabs his sword, and plunges it right through Ichigo's neck, right? Yhwach makes a note of, hey, alright, he should still be alive, let's bring him with us and we can convince him there, right? But we then notice that the sword has not hurt Ichigo, it's only hurt him a little bit. And this is because Ichigo is using the blood vein, a Quincy technique on his neck that is helping the sword not penetrate through, right? And at this point, Yhwach's just like, oh no, it's not possible, I really messed up. As we pretty much understand what this means. Pretty much in all terms of it, Ichigo has Quincy mixed into his blood, right? And as we find out, Ichigo's mother had a part of Quincy in her, thus Ichigo's lineage, he is also part of a Quincy, right? Fighting Opie and being stuck in Opie's jail, the only way you're able to break out of that jail is with Quincy powers. And being that whenever Ichigo is damaging the jail, spiritual pressure particles of a Quincy float into him, reawakening his Quincy genes in a way, giving him access to Blue Vein and then being able to get out of the jail to begin with, right? Pretty much Yhwach's just like, oops, I'm sorry, shouldn't have said anything, right? And this entire time, Ichigo's just like, wait, what are you talking about, right? Because of course Ichigo doesn't know any of this. And Yhwach's just like, oops, sorry, shouldn't have said anything. And Ichigo's just like, what? And Yhwach's just like, okay, I'll take him by force if I need to, right? They keep fighting some more, do a bunch of big fighting. Yhwach uses a move called Shatten Breach, right, which is a very powerful move. And at this point, Ichigo's just getting destroyed some more, right? We get this really nice OST and soundtrack that really gives to the demise of the Quincy as a whole, right? And as it goes on, pretty much, we see a black mist start to surround Yhwach and Hashwolf, who are here standing around Ichigo, right? And Hashwolf's just like, oops, Your Majesty, looks like it's about time for us to get going, as we learn that apparently the Quincy are supposed to have more time, but Aizen tricked them and made Yhwach stay too long and did some of his magic with his Zanpakuto to everybody, and pretty much all of the Quincy are forced to go now, right? Hashwolf knew all of this, but just didn't want to say anything to Yhwach because he knew Yhwach wouldn't listen. As all of the Quincy's start to leave, Ichigo's just like, I'm not going to let you leave if it's the last thing I do. He goes to attack Yhwach and Hashwolf just cuts Ichigo's sword straight in half, making it into two pieces with his Bankai sword, his most powerful thing there is, right? And at this point, everybody starts to leave, and as all of the Stern Ritters and all of the, what were they called? Soldats start to leave, Ichigo is just there on the ground as Yhwach starts to leave, and he says, I'll see you again soon, my son born in the dark, as we finally get the episode title, and from here we go into the ending. And of course the ending is, Salahate by Sienna Rin. This ending is considered a special ending though, because it doesn't have the visuals the rest of the endings in it that have had. It focuses very heavily on the original 13 Court Guard Squad, which I think is an interesting design choice, right? But back to the implications of this episode. Okay, Ichigo is now sort of confirmed to be a Quincy, right? Of course, he's got those hollow powers mixed into him. He has the Soul Reaper powers, and he's got the Quincy powers. He is a racial mixing cup, pretty much, right? And this is very evident in what Ichigo has done throughout the series, and it's a very nice sort of payoff that we will get later for reasons why all of this happens, right? I'm not going to spoil them now for anybody who's new to the series, but it does get paid off pretty well, right? Really, this episode has a lot of interesting things going on to it, only being 4 chapters adapted, right? This was a very good move to stop the episode where it did. We'll get the fallout of this first invasion next episode, and this episode just has this confirmation between Ichigo and the main big bad villain that they're going to have to face the rest of the series, right? Because this is Bleach's final arc, and Yhwach is the final villain, right? It was alright overall. I mean, the Quincy King, and apparently Ichigo's the Quincy. The My Son Born in the Dark line is a brilliant one. Him being a son who has literally been born in the dark about all of this, but also so many more connotations that Hollows are the dark side, right? Soul Reapers are the dark side of what the Quincy's believe in. So it just gives a lot of interesting lore implications, right? I don't really have too much else to say about the episode. The special ending was cool. The expanded scenes with the old 13 Court Guard squads were really cool, and the old Gotei 13 is just, it's awesome, right? Next episode, we know what the title will be. It's going to be episode 8 of the Bleach 1000-year Blood War arc, and it will be the Shooting Star Project Zero Mix, right? Which is going to be really, really interesting. I just realized at the beginning of this episode, I said it was episode 6. No, it's episode 7. Hey, I don't know how far I'm in, but that's not good, right? Pretty much, but next time we'll be talking about episode 8 of Bleach 1000-year Blood War arc, episode number 374 overall, and again, it'll be titled The Shooting Star Project Zero Mix. And hey, this is Bleach episode 7, and I'm signing out as Glowplasma231. Alright, see you later, everybody.